we're just going to sit here quietly.
And we're live.
There you go.
Hello. Hello. Hello, Wonderville friends and stream audience. Um, this is the Mandible Judy cast and crew live stream weekly. Um, and our guest tonight is Ryan Graveface from Graveface Records, TerraVision Records. It's gonna take me about half an hour just to go through all your affiliations here. Graveface Museum, so and what, 5 different bands.
Too many.
How, how many are you in right now? How many bands are you in at the moment that are still kind of in process happening?
A lot of recording projects, so probably eight
Yeah.
eight different recording projects, but like
Mhm.
bands, maybe 3.
Okay.
No, that's
Yeah.
not true.
So
Four.
Marshmallow Ghosts. Your solo project is
Dream End.
Dream End, right? And I have the other name, Casket Girls, which is awesome. I just heard the other night for the first
Oh,
time.
thanks. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I heard the story about how, or I read the story about how you met them, which we definitely need to talk about. And the last one, I guess, is Monster Movie,
So it's now called Beachy Head.
Beachy Head.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean technically a different project, but it's still Christian as the main guy.
Hmm.
Debut Beachy
And that's
Head came out this year, though, so
okay.
it's current.
The British one?
Yeah.
Right. Very cool. So, and I didn't know, Ryan. I'm diving into weird details before we even get to your overall overview. But I just want to mention before I forget, I didn't know that you had been part of Black Moth Super Rainbow.
Yeah, I was involved maybe '05 to 2012 or maybe 2013. I can't
Wow.
really recall.
Awesome. That's really cool. Were you like, was that from? So that was not when you were in Savannah, I guess. Or was right.
So it started when I was in Chicago, but
Yeah.
I was in it for probably 2 or 3 years after moving to Savannah. Because
Okay.
I remember having to do that drive for rehearsals, and that sucked.
Pennsylvania, is it?
Yeah, they're in Pittsburgh.
Right.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, I imagine. So, so tell us a little bit about how you came to actually. I mean, I have an actual question that I should ask. Um, when I visited Graveface, Fright Fest
Yeah.
the first time, was it? I think it was 2019. You invited me to come and do the splatter screening, which was really super fun, and it made a huge impression on me as a city and the people especially. Really, there was a vibe in town that was so much more chill and so much more, I don't know, really art centered,
Yeah.
art focused than I knew was a thing there. And Tamara and I were making jokes that like you struck us both as like sort of like the unofficial mayor of Savannah or something. Everybody knew you wherever we went,
Well,
and
uh,
it was kind of all.
I, I mean, I'm sure anyone that's had a business in Savannah for 10 plus years suffers from the
Yeah,
same fate of. I mean, it feels like I'm running for office when I go out here. Though
right.
I don't go out ever.
Shaking babies and pressing hands.
Uh,
Yeah,
Pretty much, or just
choking baby.
like you can't be in a bad mood, if you know what I'm saying. Like you just have to always be like, "Hey, it's so nice to see you," even though I could be like utterly depressed.
Yeah,
So I just do my own thing. And Savannah's great, man.
right.
It's
So
such a support. The people here are so supportive of my dumb ideas. Awesome.
yeah, far from dumb ideas. They clearly have taken off because they are good ideas. They resonated with people around the country, not just Savannah, obviously, and internationally too. So, what should we talk about first? We could talk about Graveface Records, which I guess was your first endeavor in Savannah, right?
Well, so yeah, yeah. I opened up Graveface Record. It's confusing. My world is really annoying. I name almost all my companies the same name, but yet they're different companies. So everyone here is confused. Graveface Records is a recording label that I started 21 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's you were talking about Black Moth. That's, I signed that. Well, there's no signing,
right.
there's no contracts, but I started working with them in like '05 or something. And I existed for 3-4 years prior to that, mostly doing CDRs, just weirdo psych shoegaze stuff. When I moved to Savannah in 2010, I just wanted to go record shopping, and there were no record stores, so I opened Graveface Records and Curiosities. Because my whole life I've collected weird shit. I cuss?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
by all means.
Yeah, I cuss a lot, actually.
As-
Naturally.
As do we. So.
What the fuck are you talking about?
So yeah, I wanted to go to a store that had oddities and records, so I built one, and that opened. It's been open for 10 years this October. Then in late 2014, I started TerrorVision, which is my only non-Graveface named company, which is how you and I know each other. Horror soundtracks, and I'm getting into Blu-rays this year. And then maybe I don't know, when did I open the museum? Maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, I opened the Graveface Museum, which is a beast. I wasn't expecting it to take off like it has. It's been crazy.
So is it one of those situations with everything you start where like you're like, well, this had better not be successful. I'm going to be in deep shit because I'm already too busy.
No, because I still don't see it as successful. I'm that guy. So like no matter what I do, I'll always be a failure in my mind. Which
You're like your own dad.
yeah, abusive dad, yes.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean the con of that is obvious with mental issues, but the pro of that is I get a lot of shit done. And this October I'm opening a non-Graveface named company called the Lodge of Sorrows, which is it's just an event space. So one part movie theater, one part, for bands. But we'll also do things like record fairs and zine fests and blah, 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 blah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was really hoping that it was gonna be like a bed and breakfast.
I'm sure that's
Don't
coming.
give me any ideas. Yeah. Right. Don't give me-
Yeah.
The themed bed and breakfast. Everyone wears too much makeup, and there's lots of murdery things.
I'm sure it's coming, brother.
So tell us a bit. When we start, Graveface obviously did not start as a horror themed label, I guess, so much as it was more like dark wave, cold wave kind of shoegaze.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
a lot of what people call dream pop, which I still don't know what that is, but that's what reviewers call it.
Yeah, I've been hearing that too.
Yeah, that's what Casket Girls is always pegged with that, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the difference. What is the difference between that and goth as a more well-rounded genre? But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yes, dreamy stuff.
Right, and then you started TerrorVision because why?
So I do film festivals, which because like you said, you and I did one together. But I used to do them in Chicago as well, and I was vending at festival in that had to be October of 2014, and this. So I had a booth of random, the stuff I put out on Graveface and oddities, and then horror soundtracks. And there weren't many labels doing it at the time. So well, it's kind of funny. So what happens is I just brought a bunch of the soundtracks for the movies that were playing at the festival. Makes sense, obviously. And this old dude comes over to the table, starts browsing soundtracks, picks up the Chopping Mall soundtrack, and goes off about what terrible artwork is used for the jacket. And I love shit talking, so I was like, yeah, it's fucking dog shit. Which I don't even know that I felt it. I just felt like bonding with this guy. Life is all perspectives. So I'm shit talking with this dude, and he was like, hey, you and I are on the same page. If you start a label, and you can release any of my titles for free, just as long as you use the artwork that I want you to use. And so that guy ended up being Jim Wynorski, who made a ton of films. And the one he really wanted me to do was Not of This Earth, the Tracy Lords, the first non-porn Tracy Lords flick. And so I, of course, said, fuck yeah. And I, on the drive back to Savannah, I was like, it does not make sense at all doing this on Graveface. Because that's what I was going to do. So then I hatched up the whole TerraVision thing and, made it its own company entirely. And it's got its own identity. And I actually very rarely promote, Graveface releases to TerraVision and vice versa, unless I actually think the respective fan bases would like them. Because I really wanted to see if TerraVision could become its own brand, if you will, because Graveface is and does well as it is. So and the good news is TerraVision's great. Like it's been really fun. So
What can I ask you? What do you have like a general criteria for what you put out on TerraVision? Obviously, not every single release can be as successful as some of the others. Where do you stand with making that distinction? Because some of it's you don't know, right? Like some of these films are really not very well known.
I mean, more than half of the catalog does not sell, but it's the rules are it can't have had a release before, because that's what I would say. More than 50% of what other horror soundtrack labels do are reissues, and I get it. I understand why, because they don't have to find the material. They can usually just sign a quick deal with Paramount or Universal, and it's you're just talking money and the contact versus the pain in the ass to find the music, which is my entire life. But that's what I find to be super fun about TerraVision is digging up scores for films that when I put them out or announce them, rather, people are like, what the fuck is that? I've never even heard of that. And these are horror fans. I mean, these are people that you would think have a vast knowledge of this shit, and it turns out that running a horror soundtrack label is not too different from Graveface, because the Graveface label suffers from the same problem. I try to break new bands, right? Find literally unheard of bands, and then sell a few thousand records. That's the goal, and it's very hard. Whereas if you put out a record by someone that people know, guess what? It sells. Horror fans are not as adventurous as I had hoped they would be. They really just want Friday the 13th, and they want Nightmare on Elm Street, and they want no different than putting out a Radiohead record, right? In the indie realm, they want that. They would, if Mondo and Waxwork and whatever zillion other labels there are all put out a version of Nightmare on Elm Street, they would buy them all. Yeah. If it contained the exact same music.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's fucking fascinating. Whereas, like, taking a chance on something like Spookies, people are like, "What the fuck is Spookies?"
I don't know that thing.
Yeah.
Do they say it with that exact accent too?
Sorry, I've been living in Savannah too long.
I'm about to say down here they certainly do. Yeah.
Yeah. Clayton is from north of Atlanta.
Okay.
North of Atlanta?
Yep.
Mountains.
Not too far. Not Blue Ridge.
Okay.
Sort of around KSU and that kind of area.
Okay.
So if we want to go on and pull in the southern, we can do that all day long.
Don't make me do that, man, because I sat down there in the Florida. No. We're not
Tell
doing
you
that.
what.
I tell you
Um,
what.
well, I'm gonna give you ask you guys both to have deliver whatever questions you've got. But I just wanted to ask you one more thing, Ryan, um, because it's very much related to what we're talking about. On one of your Marshmallow Ghost releases, I think it was 2017, you said in the liner notes, in 2017, we find ourselves in the Stranger Things culture. The most popular art is simply what you recognize immediately, regardless of the talent or creativity within. I guess, I mean, I've certainly
Bitter
heard this
much?
phenomenon. Yeah, right. It's all good, man. I think that's awesome because you're being really honest, and
That's
you
all I
you
am.
have a stake in you have a stake in this, so you have, that's I think that's quite honest. Um, I've heard people refer to this as hauntology. I'm sure you've heard the term
Yeah.
before. Do you consider this still a true statement? I think you already answered this question, but
Fuck yeah.
talk about, is it a positive thing, negative thing?
Of course it's negative.
Does that matter? Yeah, it's negative, but I guess to a business person, it has to not matter too much.
Well, the only reason that is a loaded one, my friend.
It wouldn't be a good question if it wasn't, man.
I agree.
Take off that hat, put this other hat on. Yeah.
So the only reason I'm able to survive is because I have diversified my career, meaning all the companies that I mentioned, and I also have a PR company that I didn't mention. And all these things allow me to make, like, in other words, if I just had Graveface, the original label, it would have gone out of business years ago. I had to diversify. But doing that has allowed me to stay true to what I do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, I mean, it's such an annoying fucking thing in the museum, but not everyone, that's a huge exaggeration. I would say one person a month, but I hear it as everyone in the
Right.
museum will say, the owner, and they don't know I'm the owner, even though I literally say, hey, I'm Ryan, I own the museum. They have no fucking clue. They'll say, the owner must be rich. And it makes me want to slit their throat and then mine. Theirs first.
Yeah.
Because I work so fucking hard to be able to afford the stupid things that I've bought. You know, I literally started the first Savannah record shop with $500 that I loaned to myself from my other company that was struggling. I lived in the back of the store and begged the landlord to allow me to move in without, paying the security deposit or the first month's rent. So, like, I find it to be very why this is relevant to your question is
Oh, it's totally relevant.
yes. Well, I'm glad you're picking up. If I probably would have had to have released pick any score or
Yeah.
even band on Graveface that I am not into as a means. If I told you some of the things I've rejected, not so much on Terrorvision, but on Graveface, well, you would vomit because, I mean, some of these things went on to sell, 100,000 units and win Grammys, but I just wasn't feeling
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a part of me that's like, you probably should have done that, but I didn't, and if I had to do it all over again, I still wouldn't. So I don't think I'm privileged or lucky. I think I work my fucking ass off, and that allows me to be as open as I want to be with anything that pertains to art. And at the worst case scenario, in the course of my living life, not my, dead legacy, so long as I will be thrilled if I'm on my deathbed and I get no further traction out of what I've done. Would it be nice while I'm alive for people to acknowledge someone attempting to do different things that aren't the Stranger Things motif, right? And that aren't the exact sort of, well, that's a Terrorvision complaint, but same thing in different fields. Like, it would be great to feel that while you're alive, but I'm fucking 40 years old and I don't actually care at this point. Maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, but doesn't actually matter to me. Hell, I perform with a mask on, and I use a pseudonym, right? Like if I wanted to personally become famous, I would have made changes way earlier on in my career. But I would like, especially with something as niche as horror, which I guess is not niche anymore, right? It's so fucking big.
Yeah.
You would just think if there are, I don't know, say 8 million people in the United States today that go to sleep at night saying they love horror, it'd be neat if 99% of them didn't just love the same shit as the other group, you know? Like, it's just I
Just
don't
in
know,
terms
that's-
of diversity and sort of the
yeah,
broad spectrum of stuff.
right. Like, I think the biggest slam to culture in my lifetime, and I use it, so I am equally to blame. I'm not saying I'm not to blame, is Instagram. And the reason why specifically Instagram is because to me, and I'm sure people my age, it introduced hashtags. And what hashtags have done is they've made it so that you click on this fucking hashtag and it shows you everyone else that's exactly like you. But when I was a kid, that didn't fucking exist. So I really legitimately felt like an alien, and through feeling like an alien for 24 25 years or something, like legitimately feeling like an alien, it allowed me to actually be completely unique. Now, are there people that are just like me in reality? Sure. I'm not suggesting that I'm actually unique, but I had development, and I'm sure people in my age group can understand what I'm saying, without that influence of seeing like, oh, there's 1.5 million times that this has been used. Oh my God, there are a bunch of people that like spookies or whatever goofy example. Because even like the subcultures aren't actually subcultures at all. So it's just an interesting. I don't know. I'm aging rapidly, and so things that I've never really thought of before, I'm like obsessing on.
You're getting a little bit Clint Eastwoody, get off my lawn, or
No, not at all. That's the thing. I fucking hate gatekeeping, right? So it's like I fucking hate gatekeeping. I could care less what people actually like. And that's my point, is the diversification that I started 12, 13, 14 years ago has allowed me to just stay true to what's pure for me. I'm just saying it would be fucking thrilling if something ridiculous like a spooky is sold Friday the 13th numbers, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And what it would do is it would set up a bunch of these things as larger entities instead of just there being, think of classic rock. You've got Beatles, Zeppelin, Floyd, whatever. You 5 bands that people always refer to. It's kind of no different than that, Every single decade or generation has that musically. I feel horror is different though, because it's just all lumped in. It's not so much for fans. It's not so much decaded out. It's just a big lump of famous shit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
None of it fucking matters.
I mean, I think to that end, I would split horror out more genre based than I would time based. I think for me personally, that's how I tend to group it. I mean, certainly you have the 80s horror flicks, all of which have a very similar aesthetic in the popular culture anyway, not anything that would be a little more esoteric or was produced outside the United States. But I feel like in horror you get more, oh, well, that's a sci-fi horror or horror slash, literally slasher, or you get your genre picks, so to speak.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is 99% of people aren't even as into it as what you're saying to develop what you're saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. The people, and I only know this because of television. Like, I wouldn't have had this epiphany if I wasn't constantly selling or attempting to sell and going to conventions. Conventions are really the eye opener,
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's got to be, again, 90% of the people that come to your table are all looking for the same 10 soundtracks, and they're all the most famous things you can possibly imagine. And you're like, well, I don't have that, but I put out this thing that if you actually love that movie, you're gonna fucking freak out. And you would think, if you're at a horror convention and have spent hundreds of dollars to get there and meet these, you know, famous people, that you would want to be open to something new, and they don't. I mean, not only you might get I might get one person at convention where you turn them on to something, and they're typically not even going to buy it, but they're going to take a picture of it and maybe do their research and maybe become a huge fan. Who knows? But it's very like soul crushing to be a part of repeatedly. So COVID's been great because I haven't had to go to any. Honestly,
I kind of feel the same way. COVID kind of kept me inside. I'm like, I'm happy here. This is good. I can just do
great
things with you guys, and you know. But yeah, no, it's awful, of course, on so many other levels.
I mean, that was a huge tangent that I probably didn't need to go on. So
No,
But,
I
you know,
think
it's funny.
I think there's relevance there. I mean, you talk about from the standpoint of how do you crack the nut of getting people outside their comfort zone and getting people to accept that anything. And this is a thing that I think, you know, Chris, you and I were talking about this the other day about in a world, you know, just go back to your Instagram comment, in a world where you have a billion things vying for your attention time and time again. I can't tell you personally how many times someone has recommended to me a podcast or a movie or a show or whatever, and I'll be like, man, I'd love to do that, but fuck, I've got so little time to do whatever. And I realize that I'm also the workaholic that I am. I'm not part of the normal mainstream, but we're all so aware of our own mortality these days that it's why now all of my attention is worth that much more. And I feel that much more justified in going, oh, well, I only want to find things I'm comfortable with. I don't want to get outside there and try something that might be uncomfortable. Heavens, no.
Hey, welcome to the internet, man. A little bit of everything all of the time. But
Right.
you reminded me of, you ever seen that movie High Fidelity with Cusack? That's you're John Cusack.
no, because he's an asshole. I'm not an asshole.
No, I'm not saying you're an asshole, but you're John Cusack.
Nick gets better. He gets better over the course of the movie. He realizes he's an asshole.
Yeah, no, he does. He does. He's great. And I hate to do this too, but I have to go because I got some stuff that just came up. So, apologize. I'll run into you guys next week.
Great having you. Yep, great having you in.
Be good, dude.
Speaking of the whole, I guess there's so many ways to put it. What you're talking about.
Maybe I am an asshole. Maybe he just hit on something.
This fucking guy.
Are we the baddies? Yeah. So this whole concept of you know, just that. I guess you could say maybe that people's minds, in order to deal with the onslaught of media that the internet represents to people, there are too many podcasts, there are too many records, there are too many record labels, probably there are too many movies, there's too much of every, certainly too many Marvel movies.
It's oversaturated for sure.
Yeah.
But
So
that being said, here's the thing: when I started Graveface 21 years ago, quantities that I was pressing, and I am obviously way bigger of a company than I was 21 years ago, aren't that different. Now think about how strange that is with what has happened with the internet. I mean, I didn't even own a cell phone when I started Graveface. I mean, are the quantities that I have to press more? Yes, but it's not even double, you know? It's not... So it's, I guess the interesting part is 20 years ago, I guess the quantity of people that are willing to spend their $20 or whatever it is to buy so-and-so, it's probably not that much higher a quantity than today, even though there's constant bullshit articles saying vinyl has outsold CDs. Well, if you look at the top 10 list, it's all Fleetwood Mac, you know, like they're not, again, they're not buying Spookies.
Yeah.
They're not buying Spookies. They're buying Fleetwood Mac. So, and that's because there's vinyl in Walmart. There's vinyl in Target. So it's not really a fair commentary to say like vinyl's back, baby. because
So-
in terms of niche buyers, it ain't that much more today from 20 years ago.
So let me dig in a little bit more on that one, because I feel like in the last maybe 10 years, and I might be wrong. I'm not a huge vinyl head, so I'm not 100% certain, but I feel like the vinyl world in the last 10 years has become much more artistic in terms of the pressings, in order to compete with digital media and so on, have turned into more of an expression. They do a lot of limited run. They do a lot of very interesting, like the actual appearance of the vinyl, the design of the record, and so on. Do you think that sort of vinyl as art has also impacted the industry in terms of record sales and so on? Or do you think that's just people who love it, love that? And
I think that proves what I'm saying.
Yeah?
Because 20 years ago, it was no different. It was just there were less people doing it.
Okay.
There were, think about, Sub Pop Singles Club to, whatever. Right? There's always been limited run LPs or 7-inches and crazy colorways. And the third vinyl record I put out 17 years ago was a pop-up book, right? And I wasn't thinking like I have to make this wild and crazy so as to get someone's money.
Yeah.
It's just what I wanted to do. But I think how what you said proves what I'm saying is those are people looking for a niche item. It's probably the same quantity of people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
in other words, all the record clubs are probably about the same quantity. 500 to 1,000.
Yeah.
I would be shocked to find out that someone is doing something that you're talking about, like highly artistic, in 2,000 to 4,000, unit runs. I guarantee it's all 500 to 1,000. Which is why you'll typically see those sorts of things being sold directly from the artist or label.
Yeah.
And then there's a standard retail version. If they could sell 10,000 of those rare things, they'd make 10,000. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah.
And then it's no longer the limited run. Now it's the standard run. It's just there aren't that many people that are truly into this little nook, in my opinion. I mean, again, there's 10,000 people a week buying Fleetwood Mac Rumors, right? If you look at the charts, literally 10,000 people every week are buying that on vinyl. So I'm not suggesting that vinyl is not selling. I'm saying those are surface level people, a lot of kids actually, who just so happen to be walking through Target, and that's what Target knows. They're going to make a pink Taylor Swift record that you can only get at Target. Well, Mom, I need this Taylor Swift. That doesn't mean that people are buying more vinyl. That just means that people are buying more Taylor Swift at Target.
Right.
To me.
Vinyl as merchandising. Yeah. No, I guess that's probably very accurate.
The first I saw that was Hot Topic. If you think about it, like 2012 or 13, they started doing limited five.
Down Topic.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a weird store? That's almost as good as the Beavis and Butthead thing, right? Where its main audience was the thing that it was satiring. Hot Topic is a bunch of kids who are edgy and like, I want to be fuck the man. Meanwhile, it is the most analyzed and marketed to niche, like, oh, we're gonna hit exactly this thing. We're gonna make clothes to make dad angry.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the 13 to 18-year-old or 13 to 17-year-old really hasn't changed that much since I was that age. It might be this brand instead of that brand, but it's sure as shit easy to sell to them. And, you look at movies right to that as well, right? And a lot of, that's the only reason most alternative music was so big. Like if Billy Corgan wasn't writing lyrics that a 13-year-old could relate to, he would have never been famous.
Yeah.
He's literally manipulating that demographic. He ain't writing for 28-year-olds. He's writing for 14-year-olds. And
now he's writing for conspiracy theorists, I guess. But yeah.
well, and hoping that any of those 14-year-olds who are now in their 30s or 40s are giving a shit, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting to watch, and the older you get, the wiser you are, and you're able to see things for what they are, which is mostly horseshit.
I've been involved in a lot of different media endeavors over the course of my professional life, as I think all three of us have, and I've noticed this effect in pretty much everything, basically all media, and that is this kind of drilling down the thing to its simplest trope, its simplest thing.
Yeah.
And basically that's the only thing that anybody wants. So like Stranger Things, I was glad that you name check Stranger Things, which I don't think is a bad series.
No,
but
it's fine.
but
it's literally referential.
It's a poster child, right? It's like it's like, oh, I love that 80s stuff, and like
they created nothing.
Yeah,
It cost them a fortune to make nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's
a story at least, but yeah, right, exactly. The story is super
totally
referential.
fucking useless. It's useless.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
That's
some harsh shit.
It's drivel.
I agree. In my most recent incarnation as a composer, I've been a composer all along, but I've been trying to kind of push that again because it's really what I love doing. And I kind of got back into horror because I saw things like Stranger Things taking off, and I thought, oh, people like horror. People like this.
No,
it's sort of like
that's my point.
Yeah, and so I got into it, and what they actually liked, like for instance, I thought, okay, what's the nearest modern genre that I could write in that would work with this audience? And then, okay, everybody's like synthwave. Your stuff sounds like synthwave, so I go, it's right, synthwave. So I started listening, and I was like, this is drivel. What the fuck? It's so cliche. It's so full of tropes. Yeah. And then I tried to do stuff that was adjacent, but they don't want to hear things that are adjacent. They want to hear the whole thing. They want to hear. It's like that's all you can do, and like you throw in a shitty analog string patch, and they love that shit. And yeah, so it's a little bit disheartening because like what we're doing with Mandible Judy is kind of trying to get at the really interesting mood building, story building, world building, really. That comes with ignoring all that crap. It comes from basically saying that stuff doesn't matter. Right. What matters is good story, cool characters, and just an interesting twist and good and music that underlines it all and makes it all work.
I mean, the best thing you can do is create your own world, and there will be people that find it, and you just got to hope that it's enough people to support it. It doesn't, as long as you're not living off of it entirely, then it should be fine, and rewarding.
I think that's where it comes down to is if you can't get at least 60% of your enjoyment out of the pleasure of making the work, I don't feel like any creative endeavor is going to work. I think if you're ever doing the majority of your work for some material gain or for someone else, you're doomed for failure.
See, I don't even consider anyone.
Yeah.
Again, that's not a pro in my column. I just fucking do it.
Right.
And sometimes I regret it, but again,
but
at
that's
least
art.
I'm on deathbed.
That's art. Otherwise, what you're saying is exactly right. It becomes pandering and playing to nostalgia, which has a place. I like my Lucky Charms, but God damn it, if I ate nothing but Lucky Charms, I'd be dead pretty quick.
Yeah. I'm not going to keep bitching about stuff. We're good. Moving right along.
Moving right along.
Well, tell us about the museum.
Yeah.
When did it start? It's been, a couple years old now?
Yeah. I think.
And what?
3
And
years
obviously
sounds
it was
right.
it started like right, and then like pandemic was right on the heels of you opening, basically, right?
Yeah, we had to legally, shut down. Was it 3 weeks to the day after our opening day?
Oh wow.
And then weren't allowed to reopen till June, I think. So we were closed for what was that, 3 or 4 months? That was brutal, and I didn't qualify for that business. Didn't qualify for any of the PPP or any of the governmental shit because it started. I think the cutoff. I'm making this up, but I think the cutoff was like say January 30th. Your business had to be running by that date to qualify, and I opened on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It's like so,
Yeah.
and that's the most expensive space I've ever rented. So, because it's right on the tourist drag. So last year was fucking wild. I ended up selling. I'm a hoarder, collector, so I have tons of pretty cool shit. But I ended up selling almost my entire NES collection, which was about 1,200 games,
Holy cow!
but literally like the rarest of the rare.
You sold them
And
on site at the museum, or
no. I did
right?
eBay and other
Yeah.
sites, but
Okay.
and that because I didn't end up laying anyone off, any of my employees. So
Oh, I
with
see.
that money, I actually gave everyone a raise because I'm not a high fidelity guy.
Yeah. Right.
Because you're not a monster.
So I
Yeah.
gave everyone a raise and kept them on even when there was like no work to do because we couldn't be open.
Right.
So, anyways, it was just a.
Well, we have a Clayton. Are you able to show the video?
I can.
We were going
Let
to
me-
show Blair
let me pull it
Bathory's
up.
her short trailer that she put on Instagram.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it'll just be a quick so people can see what we're talking about, at least a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
See,
Blair will mind.
Let's see if this may be a clusterfuck just because Instagram
Georgia, this-
wants to. Oh, that's loud. Instagram wants it to be a particular, aspect ratio and so on. So
Yeah,
fingers
yeah,
crossed,
so-
folks. Let's go ahead and share this
It'll
bad
be
boy.
what it is. So you have to
Plang.
click it'll say watch stream, and you have to click the watch stream if you want to watch it with us. Right.
Click the button. Alrighty.
So it's that first one, yeah. Nice.
Welcome to the Graveface Museum. Located in Savannah, Georgia, this oddity...
Oh, you bastard. See,
What have
previous
you
statement.
done?
I know, I broke it. Sorry.
Welcome to the Graveface Museum. Located in Savannah, Georgia, this oddities attraction has one of the country's most extensive morbid collections, featuring thousands of one-of-a-kind items such as records from the Church of Satan, a real human skeleton, Kool-Aid packets from Jonestown, and original VHS tapes taken from the Heaven's Gate cult. On the second floor, you can examine artwork from serial killer John Wayne Gacy, and my personal favorite items, Eileen Wuornos's death row underwear and the shoes worn by Joseph Druce when he stomped a child molesting priest to death in prison. Welcome to the Graveface Museum.
Jeez.
I like that
Christian.
ending.
It's a clip, yeah.
My personal favorite.
Stomp someone to death in prison. Welcome to the Graveface Museum.
So
Very cool.
how did you get into that to begin with? Because that's a pretty, finding those has got to be watch list inducing in such a major way.
No, I mean, I started writing serial killers when I was 15 for a school project, and then it just kind of got out of hand, like everything in my life does. But
I think as long as you don't get out of hand by turning into Dexter, you're probably okay.
yes, I'm okay. If anything, communicating with serial killers has helped my mental well-being, which is interesting. Just realizing how normal I actually am.
Yeah.
And how good I certainly have it, but yeah, I mean, it's the one thing that I'm actually good at in life is finding stuff. So, there's in the true crime collecting community, there's a ton of jealous twats who, I mean, we're like incredibly jealous twats that assume that everything is fake. So they're like, there's no one could possibly own 200 Gacy paintings. You know how much they are? Like, they're only that much if you buy them from auctions or idiots on Facebook. Like, they're actually cheap if you buy them from the people that used to visit John Wayne Gacy on death row, which is what I do. Like, people lack the actual research ability, I've noticed.
Right.
And that, to me, that's the fun part. Like, owning the stuff is cool and all, but that's not the objective. The objective is the finding. I love finding.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is incredibly pleasurable. So,
Get to go do the detective thing.
yeah, and it's easy. Like, I'd only dedicate maybe, I don't know, 4 hours a week to it, and I have to turn down stuff sometimes when I find it. I'm like, oh God, I didn't realize that I was going to uncover that easily. I don't have $100,000 for this insanely incredible collection that I would love to own, so I'll pass on it.
Right.
But like I said, that's what scratches the itch, you know. It's the find. Like, I just found this. So yeah, I think I'm up to 205 Gacy paintings or something like that, and I found this guy who was a film guy, and he used to visit John on death row, and that's what I look for because, you know, if they'll typically have photos of themselves, Polaroids of themselves visiting John, and this guy also was an artist, so he actually would sit across from John on death row, and they would draw each other, which is so cute.
Like one of their French girls?
Yes, like one of their French girls.
Just all sprawled out on the couch like that? Delicately
just-
draped?
Just like this.
Yeah.
But anyways, this guy just casually mentions that he has 49 Gacy paintings in his mom's basement. This guy's probably 60 something. And I was like, 40, like most people that visited John have 1 to 5 paintings, 5 on the high side.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most I've ever gotten off of one guy that used to visit him was 25. Just a lot. I have 49. It's fucking bonkers. So he gave me the serial numbers, and I maintain the only list of Gacy serial numbers. Like, literally, I'm the only person on earth that has the complete list of serial numbers.
Wow.
So I get DMs all day long from people. It's a lot of asshats trying to sell this shit. So
Yeah.
tons of actual fakes, and people will DM me and say, like, hey, can you check the list to see if, you know, painting 679 is so and so. And I have to break a lot of fucking hearts because the amount of counterfeits right now is an all-time high.
So you're literally writing providences for
Yes.
Gacy paintings.
And that's only because, so I befriended Gacy's younger sister, Karen. She cleaned out his cell when he was executed. I now own all that stuff. And Karen's like the sweetest person I've ever met, but one of the things that she gave me was his logbook. And his logbook obviously has all the painting info, but it's every 5, 10, 15 minutes of his life in his handwriting. So I can see, you know, on this day that he painted this thing for this person, mailed it the following day, that postage cost him this amount of money. And so if someone doesn't have that provenance, or if those timelines don't match up, or if it's literally the wrong wrong title for a serial number,
Yeah.
I don't even need someone to share with me a picture of the painting to determine whether or not it's fake. Because Gacy was such a meticulous fucker that, like, everything is perfectly charted. Like, he was not an idiot when it came to records, which is why his business did well, actually. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just a nut with Gacy shit.
There has got to be. I mean, that's from a just a pure professional services point of view, one of the most interesting potential professional services I think I've ever heard. having dated an artist for a long time who was into German expressionism and got very much into talking about provenances and all the processes that these art dealers go through, and to then go, oh, you could be a consultant and probably charge a pretty substantial sum.
I do it for free.
Yeah, anytime anyone wants to get a thing done.
Well, the thing is, these ass clappers. Sorry, I'm gonna keep trying to use a different word.
Good.
I like the variety. Yeah.
The counterfeit dudes are literally charging like $3,000 to $5,000. I've never paid anywhere close to that for a painting. I mean, not even close to that. And they're actively getting that amount of money from these poor saps who are told that a COA will be issued with buying this fake painting. But the COA is just coming from the asshat selling the painting.
Right. Somebody's got Adobe out and they're just like...
Yeah, I mean, it's just the
go.
guy, literally the guy that's selling the painting says that it's real.
Right.
That is not provenance at
No.
all. There's no one in their right mind would be like, oh, well, but that's the problem. I've seen this year alone over 25 fake ACs come across the, my DM or whatever, and about 20 of those are bought, meaning they've already paid their $5K or whatever.
Oh no.
Why the fuck wouldn't you figure shit out before you spend that kind of money?
Because ignorance is bliss, and
it's insane. But they seek me out eventually, is what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna have the wherewithal to seek me out or somebody out, why wouldn't you do that before you spend an enormous amount of money?
So let me ask you the question then. So do you have your sources for helping you authenticate things that you're not an expert in, right? Because you've got a vast collection, a broad taste for your museum. Do you have is there a subculture of people who they're all like the experts that you all then kind of pass around?
No, but some stuff, like I have, to my knowledge, the world's largest collection of Homer Tate mummies. Like, I don't know who the fuck I would ask about that, but I'll tell you what, I can tell that they're legit. There's not even they're clearly from the 30s and 40s. Most of them have his handwriting on them, which looks identical as all his other handwriting. And if someone today, which isn't happening, but if someone today was actually bootlegging Homer Tate pieces, it would be the coolest thing. I would love it. That's someone that I would like to meet, just because that's such a fascinating concept to make fake little mummies. I don't know. Anyways, point being, certain things you don't need that with. Shit like the Jonestown stuff I got. There's two sources in Georgia. Both are people that came into my record store, not together. They don't know each other. But you're buying directly from the person that acquired it, or not acquired it, but grabbed it originally. So it's, it's easy enough for them to show you a picture of them. Like, one guy was a first responder at Jonestown. He showed me pictures of him. He has all the original negatives, the incredibly famous photos, because he was the one taking those pictures.
Oh,
wow. So I just, when he brought me the Flavor Aid packs, there was no one to ask about it. You know what I'm saying? It is real. Yeah. There are certain things, but that's the thing. I don't buy from collectors. I buy from the people. I think in my collecting seriously for 25 years, and in my 25 years of collecting, I probably have bought, I would say 15% of the museum. That's not even accurate. Probably a hair less than that from collectors. Everything else is, directly from the source. And the sort of stuff that I would get from collectors would be a lot of sideshowy stuff where, again, provenance is not necessary because you're physically holding a photo from, 1886. I don't need anyone to verify that it's authentic because it's clear as day. So, there hasn't been anything that I've come across that I'm like, maybe, you know what I'm saying? It's all, I don't know, it's all direct from the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what here's the thing. I've been working on a book since COVID. That's literally what I launched into when I had to close the locations. And the book is the stories behind the pieces in the museum, because oftentimes those are more interesting, or at least equally interesting, to the piece themselves. And I think people are going to, if anyone reads the fucking book, people that read that book will be like, that is actually pretty interesting how he acquired these things. And I think, if anything, it will motivate people to get off their ass and not just look at online auctions. And because that's what I notice. What'd you do? Funny bone?
I hit my funny bone. I've got this desk. I love this desk, but it's nothing but sharp edges.
You do that every week, Clayton.
Every
I just want to
fucking
remind
week.
you.
It's the ghost of Gacy.
Yeah, bastard.
So, Ryan, do you have a favorite piece in the museum?
No, I'm a hoarder, so I can't.
Yeah.
Just like I couldn't throw something away, or
Right.
not throw away, but or get rid of something. I mean, that logbook that I was talking about that Karen gave to me, that might be my favorite, just because when I was a kid, I saw the Walter Jacobson interview that Gacy did. It was the only televised interview in his 14 years on death row, and he talks about it. Like, Walter specifically says, I want to know what death row is like for you. And Gacy's like, here, I can show you. I'll show you day to day. And I just remember being a kid and thinking, like, I just want to see that. Like, what is this day to day? And now I own that. And it's just, to this day, I mean, Jonestown Flavor Aid packs are impressive. Jim Jones sunglasses are impressive. These things are all impressive. But, having spent, 12 years of my youth, formative period of my life in the Norwood Park, Chicagoland area, like, everyone had a Gacy story. Everyone, and I'm sure none of them are real, but everyone had a Gacy story.
No, but I mean, having grown up in Chicago as well around that same time period scared the shit out of us.
Yeah,
I mean
he
we were
was
all
the boogeyman.
terrified. Yeah. Oh, fucking A. Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's why I always come back to that shit. It's like, it's bizarre to me that this childhood boogeyman I now own the world's largest amount of, and I'm getting more and more and more and more, and it doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon, because I just keep finding these huge, like I said, I'm gonna head to the West Coast hopefully in the next 2 weeks to pick up those 49 paintings. And most excitingly, he recorded every conversation that he ever had with John. So it's about, I think he said it's 29 audio cassettes just full of conversations that no one's ever heard.
Wow.
So I also collect that sort of shit. So I've been working on a Gacy documentary for about 6.5, 7 years. That was just going to be audio, not podcast, but like, I was going to do it as a record, actually, where I narrate and kind of explain the context of a conversation and then just play it in its entirety and then go back and make a little commentary. But over the past 3.5, 4 years, that's morphed into a visual documentary, because here's the thing that I learned about collecting. So I don't know if anyone's even watching this, but if someone's watching this, this is an important fact for all you kiddos that are collectors as well. And my buddy Trickle, that's who I got the Gein stuff from. So I have a pretty extensive Ed Gein collection that was everything that Wilimowski had. Wilimowski was the guy that got Gein to confess to the crimes. When Wilimowski died, he passed it on to his best buddy Trickle. Trickle passed it on to me he said, it's yours if you open a museum. I opened the museum. I didn't even have a chance to tell him the museum was open, and I get it in the mail. It was fucking awesome. So, he, man of his word. The only thing he kept that Wilimowski had that I don't have is a human skull. he claims he'll get it to me at some point, but he doesn't want to ship it. So
I can't blame him, dude. Those you get like the medical whatever
yeah.
props, and they are fragile as shit, and they're also expensive as shit. You
Yeah,
get
I
a
own
good
a bunch
skull,
of them.
it's like $5,000.
Yeah, I own 62 skulls right now, but the thing about it is I don't own any skulls that come from Ed Gein. Like, that's fucking insane. If he actually has from Willimovsky a human skull that came from Gein's farmhouse, I mean, that's fucking significant.
Yeah. Is it one of the ones that's cut off at the top to use
I don't
as a
know. He's
peephole,
never
or-
sent me pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope so, because
Yeah.
but it could be the one that was on his bed, the bedpost. But anyways, I was thinking of Trickle got me into Geinland, but Trickle told me that collectors can change history. So you don't have to just collect to flip and make a crazy profit like most people that I know that collect are doing. And how he means is he used to be the world's largest collector of St. Valentine's Day Massacre shit. And he's got this insane story, and I am definitely paraphrasing here. But in one of his, so he would just buy collection after collection after collection of people that collected it, and then he became the world, same as I'm doing with Gacy, right? In one of those collections, there was a hand-drawn map. He was able to figure out longitude and latitude of the location, and it effectively was a treasure map. So he drives I think it was like 7 hours to this remote part of Michigan on a whim. This is years after he had it, like just trying to figure out where this location was. Gets there, does his 15 paces, starts digging, finds nothing. Is all dejected, hops in his car, starts driving back to Wisconsin. It dawns on him that he needed to do that same thing, but the opposite direction, because maybe the perspective was simply off on the map. So drives 45 minutes back, gets out of his car, does the opposite direction, digs, and fucking finds in the ground, which is like my dream, this box. And in that box, there is a bullet. And the bullet, I think this is still why, while Willimovsky is alive, Willimovsky, that was his thing, is being able to, he was forensic. So he was like I think he was the second generation of forensics. Goddard was the first. So Trickle sends this bullet, and they're basically, the long story short, they're able to tie this gangster that they had no clue was present at that massacre, to being the first shooter of the massacre, and literally rewrote books, Wikipedia, history pertaining to that specific thing, which, to someone like me, I'm not super into the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, so it's more so hearing Trickle talk and hearing his passion that gets me excited than the facts themselves. But that made such a profound impact on me, 800 years ago when he told me this, because I realized just through hoarding AC shit, I can discover something. And I have the documentary that I'm working on is fucking revelatory. It's not any rehashed, I mean, I don't interview the fucking idiot police, I don't interview the idiot lawyers, it's all very new, powerful information that is not theory, because that's what I always hear with Gacy is theory. This is all facts, and the only reason I'm privy to those facts is because I've been hoarding all this shit. Like, that's it. That's the only fucking reason.
Yeah.
It's just exciting to think that one little asshole who, has been buying Gacy shit for 30 years can potentially change history, and hopefully there'll be some victims advocacy happening with that, which I'll announce soon. But it's not just for my own ego or bullshit. Like this documentary is less it's almost less about Gacy, and he's more a jumping off point of all these other things that no one has any clue about. So it's exciting.
That's very cool.
Fascinating. Wow. So you need the time to analyze all the stuff. It's not enough to just collect it. You got to sit down with it in a room day after day, think about it.
If you're obsessive like me, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if anyone ever hears me talk about this is passionate about a thing, it almost doesn't matter what that thing is. They should be obsessive about it. And if it is something historical, there probably is something that will pop, you know, or could, maybe not probably, but could pop. So.
Right. So historians and collectors like you must love it when their subject just happened to be really anal retentive, note keeper, you know, diary keeper, log book keeper.
Well, the craziest part is, man, so I'm really close with James Sparks. James Sparks was what I called Gacy's second art dealer, with Rick Staten being the first. Although there were some people before Staten, but he's most famously the first. Sparks sends me all these articles. Him and I are equally interested in Gacy, and he's been super helpful. But he sent me this one just this afternoon. And these are all like AP articles that are no one would ever read. They're just passing almost to fill space in a newspaper sort of articles, not like the heavy duty ones.
Right.
And this one was about Gacy's second to last attorney. So this would have been like, I think this would have been 94, like right at the end. And a lawyer, I won't name him, you can figure it out, but he states that in his last days, meaning really the last, say, 6 months of his life, Gacy seems particularly obsessed with useless and trivial, is the word he used, information, primarily ones pertaining to his old company. Gacy was requesting a lot of just documents, because he kept meticulous records forever, and no one would give him the full scope of that. They would give him little chunks. Now, why this is again, just a passing thing in an AP article, but proves an important, to me, an important point. Someone that Gacy was actively paying to work for him was like, why the fuck are you worrying about this shit when we should be talking about ways to keep you alive? And Gacy's saying, well, if you get me those records, those will keep me alive. Why this is important is I found those records and they would have kept him alive.
Oh.
They literally prove that he's not an innocent guy, so don't mistake what I'm about to say for innocence. But it was physically impossible for him to end 6 lives, 6 of the people that were buried under his house. He was not there. This has always been theory. People have floated between 1 and 6 as a number, but it was always theory. I now have the receipts of his departure out of Chicago, restaurants he ate at while he was gone. I mean, all this shit, the hotel he slept at, his long distance phone calls. Like, he literally could not have killed 6 of the people that were under his house. And there's an addition.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, does that mean there's a second murderer then?
Worse. There's a whole slew of them.
Oh, okay.
And that's what my doc gets into.
That's amazing. And this is not known generally.
So again, the thing about Gacy is there's always been these theories because he wasn't shy about it. So if you watch that Walter Jacobson interview, he directly names people that helped him. And they didn't. I mean, some of those people were arrested and questioned, and even went to the trial to testify. But all they were like, oh, we dug under his house, but we didn't know what we were doing. We were just doing work for our boss. People limit what I just said to 2 people, but there's actually 7 total. So it's not that there aren't 7 other murderers, but there are 7 other people that
who could
were
potentially
involved.
Right.
And so it's just this wild fucking case that the only reason I brought that up is because Sparks sent me that AP article today, and I was like, that's fucking ironic to me because this lawyer just did what Gacy said again, Gacy killed plenty of people, so I'm not suggesting innocence. What I'm saying is at bare minimum, someone else also should have done jail time and or been executed. That's the simplicity of my statement. And it's important historically to, I think that's a huge victims advocacy angle, in my opinion, is, well, we know that your family has been living with this factoid for a long time, but you'll be happy to know it's not him, but it is this guy. And this guy is still alive, and he has never had any strife, you know?
Wow.
Like, I want to see some of these people get arrested, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Damn.
So I was gonna go with the angle of, are you ever superstitious or paranoid about kind of the history that comes along with some of your artifacts? But then that really becomes a more real question about, of the things you have, do you ever get twitchy from either the collectors that you interface with or the history that comes along with them for people that are still alive, still relevant, still interactive?
No, nothing. I think I can help be a voice for someone that doesn't have a voice, and it powers me through everything. Like, I got a call, was that 2 days ago, from someone. I won't say who. I don't know why, but I won't. I was like, it's such a weird call. They're like, you're getting too close. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, just so you know, the certain person that I'm going after in regards to this documentary is now fully aware of me and what I'm trying to do. Because I've been trying to play it a different angle with this person to actually get an interview, and it hasn't really worked. But apparently, not apparently, his family is very connected to the Chicago mob. Fortunately, that's pretty much dead. Not dead. It does exist, but it's not like it was in the fucking 70s where it was actually scary. And so they were like, you just got to be real careful. And I'm thinking, if I fucking get knocked off making a documentary about Gacy proving that the guy that got me knocked off is actually guilty, that's the coolest fucking documentary of all time. like that would be fucking awesome. If that's how I go, I mean, what an honor, you know? In my opinion. Like, that'd be so neat.
We'll remember you, Ryan.
I don't want to die. I'm just saying, wouldn't that be... Wasn't there a documentary, like a guy that used to hang out with grizzly bears or some shit, and then the bear ate him?
Yes,
it's the same fucking thing.
Right.
There's Neil Gaiman is actively writing a comic about this exact scene. That's what's going to happen. Is years from now, that's going to come out. It'll be the Sandman, picked back up again, and here we are. As long as it's not the Corinthian, because fuck that, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I had no idea. There's so much that you've gone over here that I just was not even aware of. I mean, you don't think, like, when you think about somebody, collecting macabre stuff and historical items from mass murderers or whatever, psychopaths. I mean, you just think, okay, yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff out there. He's got some way of figuring out what it is, but I didn't realize how scientific it was. I mean, it's really more like, I guess rather than scientific, it's just more thorough, right? And more careful.
I mean, I might be like the one guy on Earth that collects this shit and feels the way I do and has that passion or whatever to actually try to do some good with it. From what I see, people are literally just trying to flip. They want to buy a Gacy painting for $1,500 and sell it for $5,000, and it makes them look cool on Instagram, and that's really what it's all about. It's fashion to these people, because they like pose with them. Accuse me with my Gacy. and then they'll charge you $5K, and then you can pose with your Gacy. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, I don't know, man. That
It's
shit
kinda
makes me sick to my stomach.
like the pharma bro buying the
Yes.
Wu-Tang, rare
Oh my
Wu-Tang
god.
record.
Yeah.
Piece of
Which
shit.
now apparently it belongs to someone else. So apparently he sold it. I just read about that yesterday.
I was wondering what actually happened to that. So
Isn't
Yeah.
his ass still in jail?
I hope so.
I hope he rots in jail.
Federal pound me in the ass prison, and well, they should.
Yeah.
Not that I advocate, taking someone's free will, but there are some people you go,
I mean,
may
he's
be
a
worth it.
fucking douche.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much bad karma irony in that one that I'm just not even gonna get into. So on the same take as the museum and of the collecting, is there a particular, apart from just the Gacy stuff, is there a particular section of things that you would like to find? Like, are we gonna find the French Revolution? You're looking for nooses and things of that order? Or?
No, I don't like that. I'm working on something right now that I don't want to
Fair.
jinx, so to speak, but that has nothing to do with Casey. It is a true crime thing, and if I can finagle this, and it's directly from the family, it ain't a a collector thing. It's very sensitive because it's very sensitive because it's their son. Their son was a real bad dude, but his family possesses something that is so insane, and I think I'm working the angle okay. So here's the thing: I've never not gotten something ever, which I know sounds like what a douche. I'm sure someone to me saying that is like, what a douche.
That's impressive, though.
Like I guess because of how I go about it, it's not. I'm never approaching anyone that's actually asking for too much money. Like I really haven't run across that in my life. There are things that I've turned down because I have so many of the same thing that if I didn't have so many of those things, it would totally be worth the money.
Yeah.
But as far as like just things that I'd like to own, I've gotten everything. Because I'm not a car guy, so like I don't want Gacy's fucking car or any other serial killer car. Like that's not my thing. I don't give a shit about car. The museum couldn't handle it anyways, quite frankly. But yeah, I just don't think there's anything out there that I don't have or that I'm not working on. You know what I'm saying? That I haven't gotten, right? So, I am very moody, and I seem to change my mind all the time. So I never fall out of things, but I fall into a lot of interests.
Okay.
So, kind of no telling what I'll be into next, and I just keep adding to the museum that way. But
Sure.
But yeah, I've never been into like torture stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
What I wanted to ask you something. This is a little bit off the museum topic, but what's become of Fright Fest? Is there a future in it? Has it ceased?
Yeah, that's at the Lodge of Sorrows now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So that the lodge is the new venue.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how many seats, or can you tell us anything about the capacity, or are you
So I'm
fitting this space a little bit, or?
So it's an old 1800s railroad space. It's about 7,000 square feet. The eastern end is my old warehouse. I just moved it over there, so that's all the screen printing gear, and that's where my wife works out of. And then the other end is my recording studio, so I moved out of my I basically consolidated all these places that I was renting, and because it's such a big space, moved into that space. The middle is the venue, naturally, and that's going to be about 285 cap standing and probably 150 seated. So as far as movies go, it will be movable seating, and I've bounced everything around from uh, I don't know, pews to. I am not doing folding chairs because they're the bane of my existence. But I did invest in a very large quantity of nicer camping chairs with cup holders and everything. And holy shit, they're perfect for a movie theater.
Yeah, totally. There's a place in
Like,
Brooklyn.
perfect.
Yeah, that has those. I'm trying to remember the name of it. The Brooklyn Bazaar.
Cool.
And yeah, they show they do, they're not doing what you're doing, of course, but because they're kind of broader based. They're more like any kind of film. But I did see Hodorowski's Holy Mountain with a live
nice.
there, and they had
That's
the
awesome.
nice kind of camping chairs, and it was really great. It was a great idea.
I think it's the sort of thing that people that come to a screening are going to see, and they're going to think, this looks ghetto as fuck. And then they're going to sit down, and they're going to say, this is pretty fucking... Because the ones I got are really comfy, like legitimately comfy. And the height is great. And they're not like too slouchy, like some camping chairs. So,
You don't feel like your ass is being squeezed the entire time because the whole thing's compressed. And
no, they're like, they were more than I wanted to spend, if we're being honest. But they're actually pretty nice. So
that sounds great. Can't wait to come down.
Yeah, well, and there's a stage, so you can, we could do live scores and
so cool,
and do anything. So I'm pretty excited, man, to have. I hate supporting. How do I say this? I'm a recluse, right? So like, SCAD owns all the theater. Well, that's not entirely true, but all the ones that I would want to do something at, SCAD, which is the shitty art college here, they own the good theaters. And so the thought of me supporting SCAD, because the one that you were at, which is a beautiful theater, that just to have it for I think 6 hours is $4,500. I mean, that's a lot of fucking money. Like, like it doesn't even matter if they've got holes in their calendar and you're just doing something on an off day. It's there's a union tied to it, and you got to pay the union, and then they've got the SCAD money, and it's like at the end of the day, I'm giving this horrible company that everyone in town hates even more money. Seems like a terrible idea.
And it's not just in town. Anyone that I know of in the Southeast who's an artist is like, SCAD, fuck you guys.
Yeah, and so to be giving money to someone that everyone collectively fucking hates sucks. So I'd rather just spend less money on these dumb camping chairs and and this space and even if it's smaller, because that venue is 1,200 cap, so it's obviously bigger. But no one's coming to. I don't have 1,200 people coming to my events. I've got 400 people coming to my events. This way, it will all be sellout in theory. That will feel great to have 150. Maybe we can squeak in 200. I don't know.
Yeah, the vibe will be awesome. The vibe will be great because it'll feel like your own thing. Yeah,
right.
I get that. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like it would work here too. Brooklyn and Savannah have a lot in common in that way.
I agree, actually.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I can't wait to see it. It sounds great. So, but the record store is still the same location. You're not moving that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that will never die.
The lodge and the record store.
Yeah, and next door to the record store. I don't think it was there. What did I wonder.
I think there was a. Was it storage when I came? I think maybe, or maybe.
No, I changed the concept every year. One year it was VHS rental shop. One year it was oddities marketplace before I opened the museum. One year I called it the basement. It was all like shit you'd find in someone's basement, like dollar records and shit.
I was about to say, is this like art piece or
Yeah,
I'm just a wacko, so the space is super cheap, and I figure every 12 months I can change the concept, and it would make me happy, and I can also, it allows me to try concepts out. That's actually really what led to the museum, is the oddities marketplace was so, it's not like it wasn't financially successful. Everyone just wanted to look at everything. So I was like, okay, if everyone wants to look at anything and no one wants to buy anything, guess what the answer is? Open a fucking museum.
Yeah.
So now what's in there today is an arcade. So I'll try that out for a year or 2 years, and if I can't fathom me closing that one though, because it's kind of tied to the museum, even though the museum's like 2 miles away. Your admission to the museum gets you into the arcade, and vice versa.
Oh, cool.
So it's all free play, like 70 games, 50 pinball machines, and I don't know what I don't even remember what I fucking own.
So Clayton, when next time when this opens, I'll come down. We should hit it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be really fun.
So
It's a little 5-hour hop down to Savannah, and
Is it that far away? Damn.
yeah, but it's so it's fun because then you also get Tybee, right? So if you want to kind of make it the thing of it, you go and you do a little bit of island, a little bit of because you're not. I mean, you can get seafood in Atlanta, but it's not the same as going to the fucking beach. Go to the ocean, damn it. And that makes my wife happy, so she'll be like, "Yeah, sure, we'll go. Let's do it." She'll tell you the story about how I tried to break her ankle when we were first dating with a pair of surfboards, trying to learn how to surf for the first time. A stupid idea.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you know how? So they rent surfboards down that whole touristy strip, right? And they're like the shittiest, like just plastic shell. They're basically Fisher Price that you then go out onto the ocean with, complete with all the horrible seams where they like press molded it in together and never trimmed it. But so I've got this. It was a Dodge Avenger, so not the biggest car in the world. That I've got one strapped to the hood of the car, to the roof, and then I've got one jammed through the back of the trunk. And I had my gi, because I used to do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I had my gi in the back with the belt. And so I've now tied, because I didn't have straps. I didn't plan this. So I've now tied this thing together with the gi fucking belt into the back of the car, go out to the beach, and then promptly slide off, smash her ankle in between. She was so pissed. She was so mad.
Oh, ow, yeah.
Still married me, so there's that.
Trial by fire.
Yeah.
Tybee strong.
Tybee's strong. Have the ugliest, most hideous fucking dad hat in the world. I hate it so much. It's the only thing it gets used for is if my other nicer hats are filthy and horrible, I'll put it on. I complain about it the entire time from Tybee. Thank you, Tybee, very much.
Yeah, the Tybee graphic design it leaves something to be desired.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. Someone went into Microsoft's clip art and just threw a couple things together and said, "We're done."
I mean, you're exactly right. And there's no creativity on Tybee, but it is nice to go there and kind of hillbilly for like a beach community.
It is. The Crab Shack is her, like, we have to. That's the Mecca. We have to do the Crab Shack because how do you not, right?
Exactly.
Chris, have you been down to Tybee?
No,
while you were there?
No, I did not make it there.
Well,
we were just in town for the festival, and then we had to skedaddle. Yeah, next time. All right.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the Casket Girls.
Yeah.
So can you tell us like how that happened? Are they from Savannah as well?
Yeah, they don't live here anymore. But when I'm the only one that sticks around in Savannah. Everyone else gets the fuck out. Is really what's happening here. No, I was just walking through one of the city squares, which there are 20 22 of them or 24. I think they were going to kick me out of the city for not knowing that. And I heard these girls singing and playing, and literally was like, that's who I want to start a band with. So
Very cool.
and I did.
So what did it sound like when you heard it that first time?
Bad. Not bad, but like
Lo-fi.
yeah. Like
Shitty amps and
I could help them.
Right. Well, what were they playing? What instruments?
I think it was just an auto harp. I don't even think there was a
wow.
guitar.
really
Just two vocals and an auto harp. If memory serves.
But something about the songs, the songwriting, or the delivery struck you.
So I actually write all the Casket Girls songs. They were just playing, I think, mostly traditionals. They just have killer voices. So
okay.
I was just like, these are the perfect people to get on stage.
Yeah, great.
And yeah, we did Sleepwalking, and man, that was a long time ago, 2012 or something. Which is pretty fucking lo-fi as far as music goes. I don't know why it sounds so lo-fi. I believe it or not, actually know how to record music. I was drinking a lot at the time. I was experimenting. Like I started drinking when I was 30. Like the day I turned 30, I started drinking, and that would have been like right around then. And because I'm a hack job, I started trying to make my own absinthe. And I opened my own like a literal speakeasy, like a completely and utterly illegal bar that I was profiting off of. I opened that above the record store.
Selling the potentially lethal absinthe?
Yes.
Nice.
That was like one of the weirdest phases of my, and it only lasted, like, that phase of my life was probably not even a year, but it feels like 30 years. I mean, I was in so much trouble.
Wonder of wonders.
But it's the best milieu in which to create. So you came up with some songs from that experience, I'm guessing.
Yes, and then we toured it, and it did okay. Like, people seemed to like it, so we made a record called True Love Kills the Fairy Tale, which was basically the end of my absinthe era, but like full on, probably the most suicidal I've ever been. Like sort of breakup-y record, fiance departure sort of situation, but they connected so perfectly with what I was doing musically, vocally, and we were like writing while sleeping, and like we were communicating telepathic. It was very like, I've never experienced anything like it. I don't know how to describe it without sounding like a loon, but it was very powerful. And that record, I think, even in death, will probably be like, it was incredibly well received, and really sounds perfect. Like the song, I'm not saying the songwriting is good even, I'm just saying like the sound is exactly what I heard in my head, which is very hard for me to do. Like I'm not good at that. It's hard for me to hear something and then translate it.
Right.
It's part of the human condition.
Yeah, but this was like so spot on. And we actually did some pretty big tours, and we did one more record called The Night Machines, which I had this whole hogwash fucking concept for. The record's okay. It's got some really good songs, but it suffers from adhering too much to a concept, and I regret that immensely. And that record, no one bought, and we just haven't really done anything since. I've got one more record that I'm working on, and then I think I'll call the project quits, and they've agreed to do one more round of recording and hopefully some touring.
Absent.
Just needs, yeah, yeah, right. That was the missing ingredient with album 3. I mean, it actually comically was. I wasn't depressed at all, and I no longer really drink. I mean, at least not frequently.
Well,
So,
now that magic mushrooms have come out very strongly in most of those communities, it's all like, oh, well, we'll just do magic mushrooms again, and then none of us will be depressed because, of course, magic mushrooms, and we'll all have fantastic trips. So there you go.
yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know what's to come of the project, but I'm excited to do one more record, and hopefully, like, the project is useless without touring, so we haven't really done anything during COVID because I don't know, there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. So it's like just kind of need to actually get back to normal before we work on shit. So
You guys have a mailing list I can get on? I just would love to know if you're going to tour anywhere near here. I'd love to come and see you.
There ain't.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep bugging you. You touring yet?
I will definitely, put it on the Graveface label social media when we're working on material, because I legitimately think they're like 2 of the most talented people I've ever met. I just wish I was a better songwriter for the project, because a lot of the failings I internalize as mine, as I do. So.
Yeah.
As we the creatives are wont to do.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy. Horrible piece of human garbage we are. Yeah. No, we get it.
Very cool. I just posted a link for the Graveface Museum in the Twitch chat. And what else? What about Graveface Records? Is there a site where people can learn a little bit more about that?
I just have one of those. I can't remember what they're called, but if you go to graveface.com, it kind of like maps out all the different companies that I own.
Okay.
The link
There we
tree.
That's what it's called. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not a social media expert. I just play one on TV.
That was impressive.
I'm garbage, 100% garbage at it. I hate it so damn bad. With the production company that I run, and with the stuff that I do, it's my least favorite piece of it. It's the least understood thing. If I could burn all social media to the ground, I would.
Yeah,
but
same here.
Fuck. I feel like the older we all get, the more we feel that way. Like, why can't it just go away?
I literally had to set an alarm today because I couldn't motivate myself for the past 3 weeks or something to post on the Graveface Instagram. And I've got like a bunch of shit happening that like would be good to tell people, but
Right.
Like every time I think about it, I'm like, no, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then I was like, set a fucking alarm, social media.
Yeah, I'd
Like,
have to do
really? I've come to that?
No, it's definitely it was that or immediately at the get-go for me. There's no way I would do anything if I didn't make my phone annoy me.
I just
Your
don't.
future self negotiates and goes, "Listen, you little bastard, go do your thing."
Yeah, I mean, the crazy part is like if I announce a pre-order or something like that, it sells, right? So it's like it's an instantly beneficial thing. It's not like it's it's not like I post something, buy this now, and no one does.
Right.
I do. So why is it so hard for me to do? Makes no fucking sense.
Well, somebody's posting because I see posts, and it's great. I mean, I love all the. I mean, I do follow you on every social media platform though, so.
I relinquished
Including
control.
OnlyFans.
Right.
I relinquished control to my employee crews for the record shop. And then I do the museum still, which I posted today for the first time in weeks. And then I do the label. I do all the TerraVision. I just hate it. I don't know. TerraVision's an interesting one because I feel like if I was better at social media with TerraVision, that would actually probably be a bigger account. Like it's I have so much interesting fodder with that account that could be utilized. I just hate it so much that I just take the fucking hit, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. I think we all feel very icky about it. Somewhere in the back of our brains, we all know that we're generating money for someone else in like things that we're sort of morally opposed to.
That's fair.
Yeah, I loved it. Hearing like what about 10 years ago, people started the buzz phrase was "content is king." So like, awesome. So I'm finally gonna make a living. No.
No, you're gonna make someone
Content
else
is
a living.
king. We're the king, the pauper kings. You know, basically the king, the top of the heap that doesn't get paid shit. You know, unless we find a way to finance it ourselves.
I think the reality here is we're the serfs.
Yeah.
Right.
We're the muckraking, and someone else has the coconuts.
So true. Well, it's been fantastic talking to you, Ryan. I really appreciate everything.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and I'm just itching to get back down to Savannah. I want to just encourage our audience to, if you get down to Savannah, it's Graveface Central down there, man.
It is.
You know, it was such a great way to experience the city, was to appreciate the beauty, the Spanish moss, all that, and like you said, the 24 or whatever town squares. You know, it's awesome, like wandering around at night and get a little buzz on and go eat some amazing seafood at the waterfront. But do stop in at the Graveface Museum, which I'm sure is a wonderful thing. When I was there, it was still being made.
Oh yeah, you didn't get to see it.
Yeah, have not seen it yet.
Did I show you the? Did you walk in? Yeah, you did see it, and it's like
you were walking through a mouth.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. Whose mouth is it? Is it
Satan?
Satan's mouth.
Hail Satan!
And that has provenance as well. You sourced that one
From my hands, yes.
Yeah.
The devil's hands, obviously.
Yeah. The devil will make work.
Was
it's
idle
a wonderful
hands?
place. Idle hands, yeah, exactly. And Graveface Records and Curiosities, which, as you said, is a couple miles in from the water, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
What are the words? Is it downtown, uptown?
It's Midtown.
Midtown. Okay. But it's a great place, and we miss it. It's only been a couple of years, and we're already like itching to get back there.
No, let's just schedule some. Get you to do another live score or something like that, and.
Dude, anytime. I've been shopping around the scores, and I've been hoping to do something with the Blue Vengeance score, possibly.
I do like that.
You know,
score.
Yeah.
You know, I
Pretty-
hear someone's making a documentary. Maybe that documentary needs a score. I'm just gonna point it out.
I'm pretty certain that the person making the documentary is going to also do the score because he can't help himself.
Guilty.
Yeah, I think I know who I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again, and best of luck with all your endeavors. And
Thank you.
yeah, we'll chat soon, I'm sure.
Okay.
All right,
Awesome.
man.
Thank you guys.
Clayton, thanks again.
Thanks, Ryan.
hosting.
Thanks, Clayton.
Goodbye in Streamland. See you next
Right on.
week.
See you guys.
Bye.
See you later.